Hey, welcome back. If you've stuck through me with these videos, this is part 2 of the 3-part hardcore Easter egg for Call of Duty World War II Final Reich. Now, this part covers charging the batteries and constructing the Tesla guns. What's already been covered is getting the tops, getting the record, charging the record player, and unlocking the Tesla batteries themselves. The third part will be finishing off the Zeppelin and obviously the boss fight at the end. So each part takes about an hour. This is another hour segment, but this is part 2, so I'm going to be showing you how to charge the actual batteries and construct the Tesla gun variants with actual gameplay, I might add. I have watched a few videos out there where all they do is show gameplay and then talk you through the steps. I'm actually going to be doing the opposite. I've already recorded the gameplay and now I'm just going to tell you what's happening as it is happening. So you've got the 4 Tesla batteries. The 4 Tesla variant guns are Midnight, Reaper, Bloodthirst, and Hurricane. Right now I'm trying to charge the Reaper battery, which in my opinion is the hardest to get. It is the most difficult to unlock if you don't utilize the very first Wustling that you come into contact with, and it is also the hardest to charge if you don't piss around at the beginning with those first 4 bombers you get opening the salt mine door. I know there are a few strategies where you can keep those guys alive, and I actually used the Wustling in my previous video to get the battery out because it just makes the hardest thing that much easier. So you need these guys in pairs of 2, the bomber zombies. And now, as you can see, I have the MP40. It is wave 16, and this is just the stock version of the wall gun. The reason I grabbed this is so I can afford to miss the backpack zombie and score a few headshots on the actual bomber zombie itself without killing it. However, I am having difficulties, as you can see here, getting the 2 to stay alive with each other. And now that I have the sword guy out, I'm going to work my way back to the laboratory. And you need pairs of 2 for those guys to charge that battery. Now, if you're lucky, you can get the Reaper battery charged in 1 to 2 waves. It all depends on how generous the game is being with the bomber zombies. I believe each wave is a random spawn number, and I think your odds actually increase to get the bomber zombies to spawn if you're not down in the pack-a-punch room. This is just an observation. I can't tell you whether or not that's actually true. And now here I've activated the mine trap to charge the Midnight battery. So the Bloodthirst battery is in the morgue, and you charge that with pests. I think you need at least 5 pests, and you need to kill them all at once in order for the battery to receive any sort of charge. Now everyone saves that for the pest rounds because if you tried to keep pests alive in each wave, I think it would make it more difficult than the Reaper battery. But so yeah, you need at least 5 pests to give the battery a charge. As you can see too, down here, I am getting the bomber zombies to spawn, but you know, it's almost like the game is working against me and they keep cornering me. So I kind of just shoot wildly and hope for the best, and so far I'm 0 for 2 on the waves of getting that bomber zombie to charge that battery. So Bloodthirst is in the morgue. The Hurricane is in the laboratory, and that charges with the pairs of Westlings. And the Midnight Battery is the one out in the cemetery, the courtyard. And that one is charged by regular zombie kills and is by far the easiest one to actually charge. I would say if you train around this area, the game is actually pretty consistent with giving you Westlings, or sword guys I'll call them, and it makes the charging this one a little easier, but it's still time consuming, especially if you don't keep your sword guys alive. I know, the more hardcore gamers will not even kill, they won't kill any Westlings from, the time the first one bursts out of his containment chamber. And but if you're just leisurely trying to stroll through this and not get too crazy with your strategies and stuff, you can just stay in this area and you should get the battery charged within 2 to 3 rounds almost every time. Another thing you'll notice too, but I'll just share ahead of time, when you have what the battery needs to charge, the base will start to glow green. It's pretty noticeable too, and that's how I know about the pest kills, because I have failed to charge the battery a few times, and it was a little unsettling because that's a rather, one of the more simpler ones to charge. And here I kind of just blew my chances with charging the battery down in the laboratory, because I did round the corner into another sword guy and there was one down there already. But not too worried about it. If you make it to the boss fight by round 26, you should still be good. As I mentioned before, the Type 100, when it's Pack-a-Punch, also the Blood type, is pretty effective up until wave 30. So, and the fact that it's in the area that you actually fight the boss, you'll basically get the points that you need from killing the zombies to replenish your ammo. So this is just a simple process of moving the battery as far as you can, setting it down when you get overwhelmed, rinse and repeat. And this is another point where your front line special comes into play. And the 2 batteries in this area actually are, it's just a breeze to charge them, because you have this trap here, and that the electrical trap actually draws the zombies to it, so they'll leave the Tesla battery alone as it's being constructed in the machine while that trap is activated. And that stacked on top of the front line, if you are like I said, following these videos and taking my suggestions and actually putting them into play, that stacked on top of front line will pretty much get the battery charged without you having to defend it at all, directly at least. Now I did notice I picked up a bomber zombie along the way. I saw one in the laboratory. I'm not sure if that one I just ran into was the same one that just respawned. And that is what's a little different about this zombies than your typical, Call of Duty zombies. But in my opinion, this one is much more fun to play, and it just feels like a game in and of itself rather than a side piece. So as you can see there in the corner of my screen, the battery is glowing green. That means I have the 2 bomber zombies together, and I'm still not, I still have not perfected this portion of it, charging this battery. I did see where one person in one of their videos would draw both of the bomber zombies out of this area in the direction of the morgue, and then they would run back through the opening that gets you to the pack-a-punch room and then activate the trap there, because the two saw blades on the outskirts right in that doorway that I just passed through, those ones remain up through the whole cycle of the trap. And I guess the bomber zombies don't have to be directly next to it, which was surprising to find out watching that video. But you know, if you don't kill both the bomber zombies at once, it doesn't give the battery a charge. It's just a painstaking process. And I just ran into another bomber zombie coming out. One of the first two zombies to spawn. And of course I'm not in the right area. But I just realized I got a little sidetracked when I was explaining. So this Call of Duty Zombies, when you have a pack of zombies, or a train, whatever you want to refer to it as, if you have it in one area and then you outrun them and get to another area, they'll disappear off the map and then respawn to whatever location you are and sort of spawn along the way. Now, I notice this is a huge difference from the other Call of Duty Zombies, and that is those zombies will stay spawned and they'll just chase you around the map. They don't disappear and respawn, at least from what I've experienced, and that tends to make things a little more difficult. So as you can see, I'm keeping that MP40. I mean, what you want to have happen is you want to be able to shoot the backpack zombie so he drops the bomb. That way you can just kind of take your time waiting for another bomber zombie. As you can see, there's one coming out there, but I'm not going to get cornered again. So there's another one in there somewhere. It's actually relatively easy to train in this area. So I did see that both of them were together, and they're moving slow, so my hope is that I don't have to shoot the bombs off of them. I just need them to stay together. And I'm not sure if that charged the battery or not. But yeah, it's pretty easy to train down in that area, actually. There's a lot of barriers that you can sort of snake around, and then sort of split your zombies up so that you can get around them. And I'm sort of doing it backwards, but this is actual gameplay. I didn't stage any of this stuff. I continued on playing after my last video. The only split was because I had reached the max limit of my recording, which was an hour, and then I picked it right back up where I left off. But the idea is that you want to charge the two batteries kind of simultaneously, flip-flop between the two, and obviously you would charge the batteries that are in the same area. You would go in, between the two. So in this area you would charge the one in the trap there with the Westlings, and then also charge the one up in the cemetery or the courtyard with the regular zombies. And then, likewise on the other side of the map, you want to do the morgue with the pests, and then the pack-a-punch with the bomber zombies. And I guess I'll just add it, having kind of just played around with it a little in my past few games, not trying to actually get to the alternate boss fight, but just seeing how to make the process easier for charging the batteries. I'm pretty sure with this playthrough, you'll see with the pest round that I train them up here and then I bring them down. This didn't work out for me, if I'm remembering right, and it doesn't charge the battery completely this wave, which it should. I believe it can do that by wave 10. If you just do all of wave 10, it should be able to charge the battery. So I've managed to waste, wave 15 and presumably 20, if I'm correct. And, killing them individually like that, it's not going to do you any good. That's why you need to train them up and then kill them pretty much all at once. So yeah, I did pick this video back up in wave 15, and then I basically flunked that attempt. And this one here, as you can see, the battery isn't ready for me to plug it into the machine, so I wasted this wave too. But what I was going to add is that if you train the pests up in the Pack-a-Punch room and then bring them back through this way, because you can activate the trap that's on the wall just as you come into this room from the Pack-a-Punch room, and then you can just run right through the spikes. Because that's the trouble with these guys, is they don't make sharp turns that well, so they kind of, spin out, so to speak. But if you can activate that trap as you come in the room from the morgues or the Pack-a-Punch side, and then just run straight through the spikes, the trap hardly does any damage to you. That is the more effective way to do that one. Even sitting in that area alone and trying to train them up and then hitting the trap, I found that to be a little ineffective in some aspects as well. So just go ahead and try and use the Pack-a-Punch room and then bring them through and activate that trap on the wall as you come in. Now, I don't technically have to defend this as much as I am. I just I don't like sitting on max lethals for too long. And, you just kind of forget they're there and you forget to use them, so I just use them up. And then I do have a double meter right now. I could activate the electrical trap and then just save my meter, and that's what I'm hoping will have happen this time. And as you can see, I got a max ammo there, so it actually benefited me to get rid of those lethals regardless. And one thing I can point out too about charging the battery in the electrical trap is that it doesn't charge off of the Westlings dying. It charges off of damaging them. So you'll see when the battery takes a charge, you see the the electrical currents spiking into the air. When you have two sword guys in the electrical trap, you'll see that happen 2 times, I believe, for each pair of the sword guys. And that's because, it's charging off of them being in there and not necessarily off of them dying in there. So I've got 2 bomber zombies on the left-hand side. I'm going to try and get some more while I'm down here. I believe that was a 3rd one. Yep, so I've got 3. As you can see, I'm just picking off those backpackers, and now I have 4 bombers. Okay, so if I do this right, this one will charge the battery. And you want to make sure that they are faster than the regular zombies are, and you want to make sure that they're all together and they're behind you. So I'm just, this one was a trial and error. I was trying to do things the way I thought it would be easiest, and come to find out that was not the case. Still have 3 up, I saw there. Okay, I got him in the path. Now one thing you can try, as you can see, the trap doesn't hurt you that bad, but also working against you as well as in your favor is all of the support beams in there. It splits up those bomber zombies when you're kind of training them around like that, and if you're not paying attention, trying to keep just trying to keep the bomber zombies together, the damage that you get from the trap will, you know, work against you if you get caught up by the zombies, because you're focused on the one thing, and it's just, you know, a recipe for disaster after that point. So once the batteries are charged and the core is constructed, you just pick it up from the machine where you originally got the Tesla parts, and then you'll need a Tesla gun equipped. That again is where the pack mule comes into play. You'll always need a slot for the Tesla guns, even if you're not doing, you know, the alternate boss battle or the hardcore Easter egg. You still need a Tesla gun regardless. So when you get up there, you kind of just wait it out a couple seconds, and one of the new racks will pop up for a Tesla gun, and then you just place the Tesla gun there, give it a few seconds, and then it will turn into an upgraded Tesla gun. So I checked the morgue battery again, and I saw that it wasn't charged. I'm going back now to check and see if I got the Pack-a-Punch room batteries charged, which is the Reaper. And lo and behold, it is. So this one goes over where the second piece of the Tesla gun was at the beginning. And this one is the more difficult one to defend, because neither of the traps actually draw the zombies away. Even if you run all the way over to the laboratory and activate that trap, it still won't draw the zombies away. So this is the key point where your front line will help you out tremendously. I will actually get that insta-kill. I know if you've watched my other video, I told you not to get the insta-kill or the nukes, but it's almost a necessity for this portion of it. And as you can see, the shutters are actually down, which means I have to wait for the next wave for those things to flap back up so I can charge that battery, or not charge it, but construct the Tesla gun. So I've got one of the hard ones out of the way and one of the easy ones out of the way. So I've got two Wuslings, or sword guys. I'm going to try to keep the wave alive so I can bring them over there together and hopefully finish off that battery. And you know, if I hadn't basically wasted those pest waves, the Bloodthirst battery would already be charged. So at this point, these would be the final steps for getting to that alternate boss battle. But even if I do charge this battery on this wave, I'll still have to wait till wave 25 to charge the last battery. And that's why I say each part takes about an hour, because you're gonna need room for mistakes. And like I said, if you're not planning everything to a T from the get-go, it's all about just, you know, trial and error and the luck of the draw for the wave that you're in. So as you can see, one of the Wuslings died before the other, but as that trap doesn't charge off of their deaths, it did receive two you know, electrical waves, I'll call them. It's still not charged though, but I'm not too concerned with it because you can only charge or construct one Tesla core per wave. So I'm gonna go plug this one in. See here, I got stuck. Activated my front line to get that fast health recovery, and it's actually helping me to keep that battery from being attacked. Now, I've never done it in the way that the last battery I charged was in the laboratory side, just because, you know, it's so much easier to charge in that end of the map. But every other time I've done it where the final battery I've charged has been in the morgue, and every single time for the last battery defense, they will spawn a flamethrower guy. And I mean, long story short, they throw basically everything at you for that last battery defense. So when you're constructing the final Tesla core, they will literally throw everything at you. Sword guys, bombers, in your face, flamethrower guy, and I mean, it's all within like a fraction of a second. So as you can see, I do have the self-revive as one of my blitzes, and that is actually the order of the blitzes that I would recommend you getting. The only addition to that is from my previous video, you'll get the increased melee damage first, and then the double tap is the one that replaces that once you're finished charging the record player. But that is the order that I would recommend getting those in. And that is sprint, quick reload, self-revive, and then double tap. So same process here, just make sure you have one of the Tesla guns equipped. Another rack will pop up, and then you just place the Tesla gun into that rack, and same thing happens. Now at the end of this, because I will have some time to spare, I'm going to show you how each one of the Tesla guns shoots, and that way you can see, you know, kind of its ammo reserves, what its clip size is, and how it actually operates. And my personal favorite is the Reaper. So I'm relieved that I don't have to worry about those bomber zombies anymore. And I do believe that if you shoot the bombs off of the bomber zombies, they won't disappear and then respawn, so they'll continue to chase you throughout the map. So again, just another example, you can see the green base glowing when the battery, when whatever is close to the battery that the battery needs, it will begin to show that green light. And this one will charge the battery, which actually worked in my favor, because then the next wave will be the test wave. And this too is where you're defending the battery and using front line and everything comes into play, because it's just like defending the central lightning rod. When you've killed enough of the zombies for the wave that it's getting down to the final few, it will just automatically roll right into the next wave. There's no cooldown time, there's no countdown, there's none of that stuff. It's just immediately the next wave will start and zombies will just continue spawning. As far as where the battery placement for the machine goes, easiest way to look at it is you're gonna have to travel the furthest distance from where each battery gets charged. So when you're grabbing the battery from the courtyard, you're going to have to travel the furthest away from that, which is on, if you're facing the machine, it's going to be the left side. And if you're grabbing the battery from that electrical trap like I just did, it's going to be the furthest from that, location, which if you're looking at the machine is going to be the right side. It's the same every time. So that's, you know, it's just an easy way to remember it. And same thing goes for the morgue side. If you're picking the battery out of the pack-a-punch room, you have to go up the stairs to get to the machine where you actually construct the core, and you're going to wrap around and go to the further side of it. So if you're facing the machine, it goes on the right hand side, and then vice versa. I believe that's how it is. I'll have to double check when we get to the bloodthirst battery. Alright, as you can see, wave 25 just spawned on me, and now I'm going to train these guys up and charge the bloodthirst battery. So like I said, you know, again, I would not recommend you do this strategy where you train them up, you know, at the top and then bring them down. However, I do manage to get it done this wave, but you know, that's 3 waves of pests where I could have already had it charged had I done it the other way. So, you know, you can see there I killed about 7 of the pests, and since they were all spaced apart, it didn't charge the battery. And the regular Tesla gun is actually my second favorite of the, you know, the 5, and that's only because it's the more versatile one, in my opinion. I mean, it carries the most reserve ammo. It holds 5, you know, in the clip, and it's a great tool to use against the sword guys too. All right, so there we go. That was the last charge. Now the battery is fully charged, and I'm trying to keep this pest alive here so the next wave doesn't just come out running. And at this point you will be able to wrap everything up and then head into the boss battle. And since I haven't mentioned it actually in this video yet, what I do about the Zeppelin is I shoot it down. I shoot the very first battery down. If it's blocking a walkway and making a bottleneck situation, I charge the battery to get it out of the way, but then I just leave that and I focus on constructing the Tesla guns. Every time I get a new gun, I pop one off and do the reload to see what the animation is for that. So actually the Bloodthirst and the Reaper battery don't quite work that way. So okay, wave 26 here. Last battery. And that's where I go down. Now I could have made it out of there if I was shooting my way out, but I was not expecting to run into a Brenner. But like I said, and here I'm just showing you that even if you're across the other side of the map, turning on that trap does you no good. It will not draw the zombies away. refer back to the loadout, being as you just saw me purchase my Geet Shield. One of the specialist mods that I have is once I activate my special front line, it gives me 2 points of armor, and that's why I'm able to be in wave 26 and only have my armor cost 1500. Really handy to have, especially if you're a risk taker. Now, I didn't defend the Bloodthirst battery in this one, and you can't restart it until the next wave. So I just have to clear out this wave and then go back down there to finish that off. Had I done everything, smoothly, without any hiccups, I probably could have shaved this portion down to, a half hour if I was lucky. But again, it's just what to expect for each portion of this, the 3-part that I broke down, and that's up to an hour. And the first part, is getting that record player unlocked, turning the power onto the room, getting all the batteries out from their hiding places, and plugging them in. As you can see here, it won't allow me to turn the power back on because I'm still in wave 26. But anyways, that first part is up to charging the record player. And then this part is, as you can see, basically running around like a chicken with its head cut off and just non-stop moving, trying to charge those batteries and get those Tesla guns built. And then the third part is getting the final 2 batteries from the Zeppelin, charging those, entering the notes for the voice of God, so using the Brenner head to reveal the paintings, the notes on the paintings, and then entering the code from the record player into the voice of God machine as well to get that, to segue into that alternate boss battle portion of it. And that's actually what unlocks it and makes it available to you, is sounding those second set of notes at the that altar. Now, I guess, people could argue that this how-to or tutorial is sort of beyond its, effective date, and I can agree with that. The game hasn't been out for a while, and multiple people have posted this video, and some in greater depths of detail. But if you've got the time, you've got the attention span, I personally feel that it's more beneficial to see the actual gameplay footage of someone going through and doing something, rather than just having random gameplay on in the background and kind of walking you through everything. This way you can see mistakes being made, you can see what not to do, you can see what to do, so on and so forth. Just kind of me just thinking out loud there. Again though, if you do happen to make it to this part and you do finish the video, you like what you see, or you don't, I'm open to either. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, make a comment, you can ask a question, or by all means you can subscribe. All depends on what you're feeling and what you're into. And then you can also check out my other videos, the ones that I mentioned in reference to this one, as well as what I have on my channel, which is Legitimate Trickster, and that's Trickster with an X, in place of the CK. Just like the serial tricks. Yeah. This is the part where you want to sort of get ready for the final boss battle. Just because... Oh, and here, this is... If you're going to take anything away from this video, please, please, please take this one thing away. And that is when you're working up to the final moments before that final, you know, the boss battle. Keep a zombie alive, you know. If you've played zombies before, that's the #1 strategy going in that's going to save your ass time and time again and save you tons of time, you know. So keep a zombie alive, then get your stuff together, and then while you still have the wave alive with that last zombie, that's when you do the coordinated shots with the Tesla guns. Whether you're just doing the casual Easter egg or even if you're doing the hardcore Easter egg, do not try to train up down there while you're in the midst of a wave and expect everyone to stay alive, because that's one thing you can't actually do, is make up for, is to pick up the slack for other players who aren't, you know, well equipped for something of that nature. Because if you're playing a game of 4 people and 1 goes down, the 3 people who are still alive in that wave can't take it to the boss battle, because it needs all of the players in the round to coordinate the shots. So it doesn't matter if you're the last man standing in a you know 4-player match. If you try to shoot your Tesla gun at the thing to activate the boss battle, it won't register, because you need everyone who's in the match to do it. And the only way to do it 100% of the time, every time, is to leave that zombie alive at the end. As you can see here, same thing happens, wave 27. As soon as I turn that power on, it's just, and I'm gonna get this nuke. At this point, it's anything goes. I'm kind of at my wit's end with this playthrough at this point, but yeah, as you can see, as soon as you turn that power on, they throw everything at you right away. But yes, so please remember that part. From this point on, anytime you're looking to get everyone downstairs in the Emperor's Chamber to coordinate the shots from the Tesla guns, leave a zombie alive. Buy the blitzes. Buy your mystery box guns. Buy your wall guns. Do the pack-a-punch. Whatever you need to do it with keeping a zombie alive. It's too easy. And yet, that's one of the main issues that I run into when I try to play with other people. Everyone is smooth sailing. You know, everyone knows exactly what they're doing up until those final moments, and then it's just scramble brain after that. They're trying to stay down there and waiting for everyone to come down while zombies are spawning out of freaking every nook and cranny down there. And then, you know, they get the sword guys, they get the bombers, they get everything down there while they're trying to wait for other people to come down and bring more zombies so that they can hope and pray that them just holding down the freaking Tesla gun trigger will get them a coordinated shot with everyone that's down there. It doesn't work.
Have a taste of frosted!
Alright, so I'm going to thin out this wave, and I will keep a zombie alive at the end to go over each one of the Tesla guns. And I will also show you how to get the second set of notes to sound at the altar for that hardcore Easter egg. I'll basically show you everything without actually doing it, just because the boss battle is straightforward. If you've done the casual Easter egg, you know it. The only thing that changes is each time the Zeppelin opens its battery compartments, when it's firing at you, it will only show one it'll only show one yellow dot, or whatever, out of the 4 possible spots that it could be, and it switches every time. So it could be on the front left corner one of the times that it opens, and then it could be on the back left corner the next time. That's really the only thing that changes, along with the time that the Panzer mortar is stunned. But again, I mean, he's not stunned long enough as it is, even for the casual Easter egg, and they just shaved down that time a little bit more for the hardcore. But yeah, otherwise exactly the same. So I'm actually going to save myself the time, as well as you, the viewer, and not record the boss battle, because that is one thing where I will refer you to someone else. Just, you can find another video on that if you really need kind of a walkthrough for that, but it's the same boss battle, just those few changes.
Somebody needs a drink!
And now I'm just finishing off this wave. I actually got lucky in that I have a bomber zombie alive.
Somebody needs a drink!
So as you can see, there's 2 strategies to actually kill those guys the way that they're meant to be killed, and that is you shoot them in the spine. One of the ways is shooting them and freezing them with the Tesla gun, and then going around behind them and shooting, and then shooting so that they charge up, and then walking behind them. So this is the Bloodthirst. This is the red one. It's a 3-round clip. And then this one's the Midnight. So this is the green one. It's just kind of bugged right now. Normally the chamber would be green. And this is kind of like a, I don't know how, it's like a, it cuts through zombies. So it's almost like a guillotine sort of thing. This one here, this is most people's favorites, just because whatever in that bubble, this is the Hurricane. So this bubble lasts for as long as the bullet drop is, until it makes contact with something, as you saw there. But for whatever is inside of that bubble, it I mean, it cuts through zombies pretty good. But you only get 1 shot per clip, and you also have reduced ammo reserves for that one as well. This here is my favorite. This is the Reaper. It just shoots a streak of electricity, and what it does is it freezes the zombie, or whatever you make contact with. It freezes them like the regular Tesla gun, and then they emit electricity off of themselves, and then they explode when the shot has run its course. So now I'm going to show you how to get the I'm going to show you what the record player actually does for you, and it gives you that second set of notes. Oh, and then just those last 2. So the Hurricane is the darker purple, and then the Reaper is obviously the yellow. So you go up to the record player. You can either listen to it, or you can look at the light here. So that red one separates the cycle. So this is the beginning of the cycle. You count the number of green lights, or you can count the ticks, whatever is easier for you. So there's 4 digits, and then each one is separated by a pause. So you'll hear like a clink, 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 and then there'll be a little pause, and then another like clink, and then a pause, and then it'll do that 2 more times, and then that red light will separate the cycle. So that means it's restarting the code. So you count those up. I believe that one was 4121. I'm not going to go back and verify that, but simple counting will give you what the code was. And then I'm just showing you, bringing the battery down. I would normally take a right there and go through that this shortcut, but I'm just kind of using up the time I have with this bomber zombie. And every time, I should note, when you have a battery and you're running it down to plug it into the left hand of God, you'll always get a zombie to spawn out of that window that just spawned there. And then also right before you enter this doorway down here, you'll get 3 or 4 zombies spawning. And I'll actually show you what the Reaper does here. So as you can see, it froze that guy, and then he blew up once his health was depleted. And then the last thing you need to know about the second set of notes that you got from the record player is once it's activated, you'll shoot the chandelier with each one of the upgraded Teslas. And then, so here you'll enter the code going clockwise. So that'll be the first digit, that'll be the second digit, that'll be the third digit, and then finally the fourth. So it goes in that order. And then how you know that it's activated is that the machine won't reset itself. So if you look at the machine, and then once you've activated the second set of notes, that's when you shoot the chandelier with the 4 different variants of the Tesla gun. And you the way to tell that the hit has registered is you'll aim for the candles, and then you'll see like a surge of electricity going through the center of the chandelier, and that's how you know the shot registered. And then how you know that you're going into the final boss battle and you've actually unlocked the the alternate boss battle, which is the hardcore Easter egg, is that when you shoot the chandelier with the last Tesla gun, you'll get a gemstone of some sort, and it'll pop up on your screen. It'll show up in your keepsakes if you push the notebook button, and that's how you know that you've done everything.